The Borla Touring Cat-Back here would be an excellent choice for you 99 to 04 GT and Mach 1 owners who want to hear that awesome 4.6 liter V8 a little bit more than the factory system, but don't want to go with anything too wild or over the top. Now, in addition to that nice deep mellow tone with the Touring here, Borla will also provide you with a stellar build quality consisting of 304 grade stainless from tip to tip, all for right around that mid $700 price point. Now, because most, if not all, of your work will be done underneath the car, the site will automatically kick this one up to a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the old difficulty meter and a couple of hours to complete from start to finish. So first things first, guys, if you are looking for something that's going to be drastically louder than your factory Cat-Back, the Touring from Borla will simply not be for you. Instead, this is going to be the perfect sleeper system as described by both the site in addition to customers who have actually pulled the trigger and run the Borla on their own ride. And with that said, this is the perfect time to segue into our Wake the Neighbor rating, where I do have the Borla Touring coming in at a very, and I mean very soft 3 out of 5 here. Again, not a loud system by any stretch of the imagination. Now inside the car, however, you can look forward to absolutely zero drone whatsoever, and that is one of the perks of going with a higher end system such as the Borla here on the table. But even though this system is rather quiet now, you do have to keep in mind, guys, that this is with the stock headers and that stock mid-pipe still in place. Now, if you end up replacing those with an aftermarket option, you can expect that sound to get a little bit louder, and at that point, the Touring might be a great way to tame a long tube header off-road mid-pipe combination. Or if you just simply want to melt faces, then maybe the S-Type or Attack, also from Borla, would just be the better choice overall. But enough about the sound, let's quickly get into the build and materials before we show you how to get it installed. And if you guys know the Borla name, you know you are getting a quality system. That means a premium 304 grade stainless throughout, including the small amount of 2.5-inch mandrel bent tubing, turbo style Touring mufflers, all exiting out the rather large 4-inch polished tips here embossed with that Borla logo. Now the Touring will install in place of your factory Cat-Back, but depending on your lift or jack stand situation, you may need to cut the factory stuff off in order to get the new Borla system in place. Regardless of your situation, here is our detailed walkthrough for you guys, in addition to a brief tool breakdown.
Tools used for this job: exhaust hanger removal tool, 14mm socket, 15mm socket, 3/8 drive, rubber mallet. Optional is this impact. Helpful is the white lithium grease. And if you have to cut anything, I recommend using a Sawzall with the proper eye protection. All right, to get started, let's flare down all of our hangers with this white lithium grease, just to make the removal a little easier. So you have the 2 back here by the tips if you have a V8 Mustang. Then you have 2 hangers for your muffler. There's one on the outside and one on the inside. And then 2 more for our other muffler. All right, let that soak in for a minute, then we're gonna work on taking our tips off first, and then going to our mufflers. All right, so our Mustang's set up a little differently from factory. We have a clamp here that joins our tip to the rest of our tailpipe here. If you don't have this, you might have to cut it. That's fine, we're not gonna be reusing our stock exhaust. But this clamp is a 15mm socket. Slide this forward or back. Let's see what we can do here. And since we put that grease in there, this should just slide right out. We're gonna set this off to the side, get that other tip off. All right, now we're working on the Cat-Back. That includes the muffler and this flange here. A 14mm deep socket. I'm gonna buzz these off here. All right, now I'm gonna bring a pole jack into place here to hold onto my muffler right about here. Let's get this down. All right, now let's separate the flange from the tailpipe here. Try to work that just back just like that. Then we'll lower that. Then we can start working on our hangers back behind the muffler. All right, so this is an exhaust hanger removal tool. You just put this fork behind the hanger there, and then the tip here on that, and just push it over. All right, now let's get the other hanger off. All right, now that that's almost out of there, I'm gonna support the rest of the muffler with my hand here. Get that last hanger out of there. We just gotta snake this over the rear end here. All right, now we're gonna repeat those steps on the driver's side here. All right, to get started, we have our outlet for our Cat-Back here. We're gonna put our clamp over our muffler first, followed by that outlet. Now we're gonna get this up into the Mustang. Starting with the axle tube, we're gonna go over that with the poop here. And then we're going to connect the front to our flange. And get a couple of those nuts started here. We're not going to completely tighten this down just yet. Just don't want to have it fall. All right, now let's get our muffler into the hangers. Now, as you can see, since we didn't tighten down the front here, we still have all that room for adjustment. So now before we tighten that up, we want to put our tip in. That way we can get all of our final adjustments. But let's get this side in as well. All right, now let's get the muffler into our hangers. All right, as you can see, we have our tip here and it is clearly labeled. What we're gonna do is slip that larger clamp over that. We're gonna put our tip in first into the hanger here and then attach our tailpipe to our muffler like that. Make sure it seats in there. Then we can bring our clamp up and tighten that. Let's get our other tip in there, make sure we get our final adjustments. All right, again, let's slide our clamp over, get our tip into the hanger, and then connect our tailpipe to the muffler. All right, and then we're gonna get our 15mm socket and tighten these guys up. What I'm doing here is I'm making sure that I have the same clearance over here on my tip and the bumper as I do on my other side. So I'm just gonna get this into place here and then tighten up that 15mm clamp. gonna do the same on the other side here. Make sure that that is where I want it, and tighten that up as well. All right, now we have the 14mm nuts that we have to tighten up on these flanges here. Once you get your final adjustment, I can clock this a little bit and I can wash the tips over there. As you can see, I'm moving my hand and we can get minor adjustments out of that tip there. You can go a little in there and hit it with the impact. And we're gonna do that on both sides and then tighten these clamps last. Moving it over a little bit and tightening up those flange nuts. Now we're going to switch sockets to our 15mm and tighten these last two clamps. All right, that's gonna wrap up my install of the Borla Touring Cat-Back exhaust for this new Edge Mustang. And for all things Mustang, keep it here at AmericanMuscle.com.